Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm very excited for today's video. Today we are going to talk about all the fall book recs that I want to share and also my fall TBR. So hopefully, you get some inspiration from this video. Let me know if there are some fall books that you think I should check out. There are so many new books that are coming out that I'm so excited to share with you guys. So I might make a separate video for that. But without further ado, let's just go ahead and get started. So I think I have like 9 books that I want to recommend, and we're just going to get into this. The first book I have is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by TJR, and I loved this book. The writing in this book is so good, and I feel like there's so much more to this story. I didn't expect this book like going into it, and just the way that Taylor Jenkins Reid wrote this book, it's so well written. I don't even know how to describe it, but this is a book that I would always recommend to anybody because I feel like this is not really a romance. I'm gonna just read the back because I'm not really good at explaining things. But it says, reclusive Hollywood icon Evelyn Hugo is finally ready to tell the truth about her glamorous and scandalous life. But when she chooses unknown magazine reporter Monique Grant to write her story, no one is more astounded than Monique herself. Determined to use this opportunity to jumpstart her career, Monique listens in fascination. From making her way to Los Angeles in the 1950s to leaving show business in the 80s, and of course, the 7 husbands along the way, Evelyn unspools a tale of ruthless ambition, unexpected friendship, and a great forbidden love. But as Evelyn's story nears its conclusion, it becomes clear that her life intersects with Monique's own in tragic and irreversible ways. It sounds so deep and it's so good. I really enjoyed this book and I would highly recommend you guys to check it out. I just felt like it would be a nice fall read. I don't know why, but it's just giving me that vibe, and this cover is just like dark, gloomy, so I think this would be perfect if you guys haven't checked this book out already. Next up is a book that I just finished reading, and that would have to be Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. I just finished the first one, so I don't know if I'll regret recommending this one, but I'm just putting this one in here because I really liked the story. I felt like Jessa Hastings' writing is different. It is basically one of those stories where you probably won't like it, but I just loved the writing and just all the drama in here. It was just fun and entertaining. I don't think you should think too much about the book. I just can't wait to continue with the series, but obviously I had to throw this one in here because it's giving me that fall winter vibe. The next series I would recommend would have to be the Twisted series by Anna Huang. This one is just perfect for the fall time. I feel like majority of the male characters have like more shit going on in their lives. The first book is called Twisted Love. This one is a brother's best friend. Honestly, just know that there's like some edge to the story because I went in thinking this was a light fluffy romance, but it's not. I thought it was very interesting, just like Alex's character, but I still did enjoy this one. I just don't think this is my favorite out of all of them, but I would still recommend you guys to start and read the entire series. So the second book is my favorite, and I feel like this one is a lot of people's favorite as well because this one is basically a princess like romance, and this has the bodyguard trope, so I love that as well. And just his name is Rise Larson and he is so protective of her. This one was straight up my alley and it's not as dark as the other books, so I honestly thought the spice in here was phenomenal. And all of these books are kind of spicy, so just know that going into the series that if you don't like spice, you might not like this series. And then the next book I have is Twisted Hate. This one is basically like best friend's brother. I didn't really like this one. It's kind of like an enemies to lovers, but for some reason it didn't hit as much, even though I still really enjoyed this one. Yeah, I don't want to say too much about the series because I want you guys to just go into it and enjoy it blindly because that's what I usually like to do. And then the last one is about Christian and Stella. Christian is basically friends with Rise in the second book, and Stella is living in like his condo or apartment. This one is pretty intense and dark, but I really enjoyed this one. I think this one would have to be like my second favorite because I feel like Christian's character is more of like that mysterious kind of guy, so I really liked it. But I think you should give them all a try because they're pretty interesting. Next, I have Mile High and The Right Move by Liz Tomford. These two books are some of my favorites for this year. I just like, in general, I love these books so much. The romance in these books are just so good. I love the story, I just love the writing, and I was very addicted to both of these books. These are sports romance, so I just think that you should try them if you are into sports romance. This one, I feel like I enjoyed it personally a lot as well, but this one is the more popular book, and I was obsessed with, or I'm still obsessed with, Ryan Shea. He is one of my book boyfriends. This one is about Xander's and Stevie. Stevie is a flight attendant that is going to be working for Xander's team. This one is kind of like a brother's best friend. There's also a message in here, I think, that deals with body image, so just know that there's that topic in here as well. I don't really remember too much, but I just know that the story was amazing. I love how she ends her books, and I think I read this book in like a day or two. These books are also on Kindle Unlimited, I think, if you guys want to check them out. But this one is basically about Ryan, which is Stevie's twin brother, and also her best friend Indy. So Indy is also a flight attendant and Ryan is an NBA player. This one is a hockey romance. This one is a basketball romance. I'm also biased because I also love basketball. So she moves into his apartment and he's like, I don't want you to live here. But then she's like, I don't have a place to stay. So she ends up staying at his apartment. Their relationship progresses. So I just love the romance in this book, and I thought it was wholesome, especially the ending. I would highly recommend you guys checking both of these books out. And I just thought that they would be perfect for fall because, you know, the sports world is basically happening now. And I know that basketball season is going to start in a little bit. So I just thought, you know, why not include some sports romance in here. And then the last book that I have to talk about would be Fourth Wing. Is this a surprise? I don't think so. Obviously, this is giving you dragons, fantasy romance, so I had to include this for my fall recommendations video. I feel like you guys probably have all read this book, but definitely pick this one up. Give it a try if you haven't, because it was definitely worth it. This is like my favorite book of the year, so I love this so much, and there's so much to talk about. I always mention this book, but just the fantasy in here is a nice easy start for beginners like myself. And then there's like a romance aspect that's not too much, but it's pretty good and steamy. There are a lot of characters in here that I loved, like getting into and learning all about them. The dragons, that was really fun. There are a lot of twists and stuff like that in here as well, so I loved all of that. And the new book is coming out in November, I think, so I wanted to mention this in case so that you guys can read it. But also I forgot to mention that the Wendy series by Liz Tomford, the third book, is coming out I think in October, so I'm very excited. It's called Caught Up, and that one is going to be a single dad baseball romance, so that one is going to be amazing. But I only started getting into fantasy recently, so I only have this one to recommend. But now we are going to get into the fun part, and that would have to be all of the fall books that I want to read this season. And obviously I have more fantasy books because I just started buying all of them, so I'm hoping to be able to read a lot of them. And all of these books I'm very excited to read. So the first one is not a fantasy book, but this one is Heartless by Elsie Silver, the second book in the Chestnut Spring series. And I did want to include this in here because I feel like this is a small town kind of like cowboy romance, so I think it's suitable for fall. But I think this one is a single dad trope. Heartless, working as a nanny for the world's grumpiest single dad should have been simple except. Oh yeah, this one is a single dad trope. I'm very interested to see how it'll go. And then the second book I wanted to mention would be Daisy Hates by Jessa Hastings, because this one is about, obviously, Daisy hates and Christian, but honestly I don't know too much. I don't want to know a lot before going into this, so I will obviously update you guys after I read this one. The main line is no guns at the dinner table, so I feel like this one is going to be intense. I feel like I can just read through this one really quickly, so I'm going to start this one soon. If you guys also want to see a reading vlog for any of these, let me know so that I can, you know, prepare for them. But the next book I have is King of Wrath by Anna Hong, and this is actually the new series that she's writing. This is part of the Kings of Sin series, and this book I know ties into the Twisted series because the main male character in here, Dante, was mentioned in, I think, Twisted Lies. This one has Marriage of Convenience, so I'm very interested because I love Marriage of Convenience. I'm going to read a little bit about this book. So it says, ruthless, meticulous, arrogant, Dante Russo thrives on control both personally and professionally. The billionaire CEO never planned to marry until the threat of blackmail forces him into an engagement with a woman he barely knows. Vivian Lau, jewelry heiress and daughter of his newest enemy. It doesn't matter how beautiful or charming she is, he'll do everything in his power to destroy the evidence of their betrothal. There's only one problem. Now that he has her, he can't bring himself to let her go. So I just think that this is going to be so good because this one has the billionaire trope. I just wanted to start the series and I thought this would be perfect for the fall time just because I feel like this one also has an edge to the stories. Very excited. Next I have Addicted to You by Krista and Becca Ritchie because I've been meaning to read this book for so long. I don't know why, but this gives me like fall, back to school kind of vibes. So I wanted to start this one because it's about two best friends, liars, lovers, addicts, one epic love story. So I just know that one of them is addicted to sex, the other one is addicted to alcohol. So this one might have some trigger warnings. I don't know too much, but I just know that the series is very long, it's very hyped, and I just can't wait to get into it. Next up, The Deal by L. Kennedy. This one is part of the Off-Campus series, and I want to read this one in the fall as well because it gives you that back to school vibe. It is another sports romance, so I'm very excited to start this one. I heard some great things about the series and I actually placed an order for the new covers. They're going to have like this cartoon on the front, so I'm going to love that one so much more than this one. I hope I love the series, but I will have to get back to you guys. I have the two books in the Carval series and I want to finish the trilogy. So I have Legendary here and Finale. I don't know too much about the two books, but in Carval you get to know about the two sisters. I think is Donatella and I forgot the other sister, but in that one you basically know they're going to a carnival. It's going to be like a game that is like in a span of 5 days. One of them goes missing and the objective of the game is for the other sister and everybody else to find her, and I think a wish will be granted. I just thought the first book was okay to me. I just want to finish these two books so that I can read Once Upon a Broken Heart that I have here as well, but these two are like fantasy books, and the first one, not really much of like romance in that one. I would say zero spice. Obviously I want to read more fantasy books in the fall time. I just get that feeling when I think of fall, so I think these will be perfect. And then I have Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber on this list as well. I think the main male character in this book, I think his name is Jack, is going to be mentioned in the Carval series, so I want to kind of know the backstory. But I think people just go into this book not reading Carval, so I just want to read them in order and see. But this one says, how far would you go for happily ever after? Evangeline Fox has always believed in true love and happy endings until she learns that the love of her life will marry another. Desperate to stop the wedding, Evangeline strikes a deal with the charismatic immortal Prince of Hearts, but she soon discovers that bargaining with the Prince of Hearts is a dangerous game. He has plans for Evangeline, plans that will either end in the greatest happily ever after or the most exquisite tragedy. That sounds pretty intense, and I know the new book, the third book, will come out soon as well. So I really want to get into these books this fall. I have the second one as well, so I'm hoping I love this book, but the cover is just so beautiful. I own like 2 different ones, the UK and this one, and I'm obsessed. The last book that I have on my fall TBR would have to be A Court of Mist and Fury. I've mentioned this in a few videos that I really want to get into this book, and it's pretty chunky, so I just think that I'm going to really enjoy this one because I heard that this one is filled with romance. It's going to be very interesting, even though this one is like a romance fantasy. I'm not going to mention anything about this book because it's the second book in the ACOTAR series, so I don't want to ruin it for you guys if you haven't read the first one. I did not expect, like, now I know the characters in this book, but I didn't know that they would have this book, so I'm very excited to continue with the series and see where it goes. I was a little confused on the ending of the first one. That one I thought was okay, but I think it's because that one is mainly like building up the world, and so this one I just don't know, but honestly I'm very excited to continue. So obviously this is perfect to read in the fall time. Hopefully I do get to it. Let me know what you guys think about the ACOTAR series. I don't know if I should finish the entire series this fall or winter, so I don't know, but I'm just a little scared to continue. Do you guys think I can do this? Oh, this is so heavy. You guys, this is the best I can do, but these are all of the books that I have in today's video. Obviously, this stack with the Fourth Wing book are all of the books that I would recommend, and the other stack has all of the books that I want to read this fall time. So those are all of the books in today's video. I hope you guys found this video somewhat helpful. I also like to do these videos so that I can kind of like hold myself accountable for the books that I do want to read in a specific season, and then also go back and check to see whether I have read some of the books or not. We will check back at the end of the season and see how well I did, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!